Hoose
is a very, very, very fine
Hoose.
This is Stirling Talks. Good morning, everyone. I have been looking forward to this show because I've said numerous times that I sound a bit American, but I'm not. But for right now, for my purposes to get through this next interview, I am going to switch over to the full American and ask one of my guests here on the spot. Is it House? Hoose? How exactly do you say it, and who are you?
It's Hoose, and we are a regenerative construction company based in central Scotland.
So it's Hoose.
Hoose.
Hoose. And you build...
Just like moose.
Right, just like, oh, they're very good. Okay, thank you for that. And who are you?
Lindsay Neal. I'm the builder, one of the co-founders of Hoose.
No, now that we've got it all out of the way, I'll go back to the not American mode, if that's okay. So this is Stirling Talks, Stirling Community Radio. We love talking to you about these kinds of things. And we haven't really gone here on the show before talking about environmental issues in construction. This is a little bit that I did some of this in America just because I'm interested in this. If someone hasn't heard about your company, give me the elevator pitch real quick.
Yeah, so we look at everything we do in a holistic fashion. So we look at everything about the house and everything surrounding as well, landscape and community as well, to create kind of a holistic design and kind of construction that would make people's lives better.
Now, when you say holistic, some people are going to think candles and kumbaya and drum circles and all this kind of stuff. It's a little bit of that for some people. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you go on.
Yeah, we're not going on the tree hugging and the sandals on the go here with and the beans and stuff. But I think it's an approach that we want to then involve everybody, and from the client right the way through the area we're working in, the community base. Maybe we'll work that as some training if we're working in a rural area where there's a great shortage of skills, and then hopefully that'll help develop the skills and the actual area, but also develop our team.
So with that, some people are going to hear this, and working with them, there's going to be some people going, "Oh, I would love to be more environmentally friendly. I'd love to be more holistic with all this kind of stuff. This has got to be so out of my price range. This is ridiculous." I'm sure you've gotten some reactions to that where I'd love to do this, but what do you say to somebody who's like, "Oh, I'd love to be a part of this, but..."
Yeah, I think the problem we've had in the past there is this type of builder, this direction's always been more expensive. But gradually try to design that out and use materials and looking at the long-term benefits rather than maybe that short-term upfront cost. Right. That's kind of what we're being focused on.
So over the long run, you're really going to save a lot.
Yeah, over the long run, you're going to save a lot.
And this is, as we're sitting here and as we're recording this, it's a bit warm outside. This kind of works into some of the environmental issues because we've already had the warmest day, I think, in May in a long time. This is going to help with some of that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Getting control the temperatures in the building. Healthier buildings is what we're focused on as well, and using more natural materials for that. But I'm sure Dougie will be good to give some really good chat.
Well, I was wondering about that because coming from America, over there, every building's got air conditioning. Yeah. Literally every building's got air conditioning. It hasn't been like that here. With this kind of construction and this, hopefully that won't be needed because you're using some of the natural resources to help insulate, right?
Yeah, so we're not really designing for today's climate. We're designing for kind of future projected kind of worsening of the climate in terms of extremes. So we'll get colder and we'll also get warmer. Which makes it more challenging to deal with those extremes. But we've got various technologies we do to make sure, particularly because we're hot today, we'll talk about heat. We are looking at how we can kind of stop the overheating happening in the first instance by the design of the building. So that's about the shape of the building and the materials it's made from. And we're using kind of predominantly natural fibre insulations because they're denser than the petrochemical equivalents, which gives a greater heat storage capacity. It takes longer for the building to heat up than if it was a lightweight building. If you consider the difference between a caravan and an old sandstone building, the caravan heats up and cools down in 20-30 minutes. Right. The old sandstone building takes 3 or 4 days. Yeah. Never actually gets hot anyway. So we are meeting somewhere in the middle there. So we expect our buildings will kind of operate on a 24-hour heat cycle, where they're not kind of peaking massively, they're not hitting massive troughs. And that will enable people to live in their house without using either heating or aircon as much as possible. There will always be days where you need heat, obviously, and there are bound to be days where some cooling will be needed. But we have also got cooling solutions that would not be air conditioning.
Oh, hang on, you've got me interested in that. What would that be? Is that a trade secret? I don't want you to give anything away.
No. So when we use a heat pump to power the building, you can run them in reverse and start to cool the building as well. So you could be using either underfloor heating, or you could put the pipes into the walls or the ceiling even, depending on the heat load of the building. And that'd be bespoke designed for each house and each site.
That sounds. I love that. Now, for you, on the construction end and all this kind of stuff and everything, this isn't something that you've got similar laps around the sun than I do. You probably didn't start off your career building this kind of way, right?
No, we didn't. It was more traditional direction. So I started my career as an apprentice carpenter and joiner, and then we were at that time more traditional, still brick as well, and masonry and stone and so on. But yeah, just looking and learning, and that whole journey is the last 35 years, and maybe over the last 15, really passionate about looking at and learning about how other buildings work. I think it's how everything performs, and thinking, why are we not doing it this way? And you look in other countries where they're building things to a much better standard and getting far better performances.
That had to be pretty fascinating, because I still love that at this point in our lives we're still learning and doing things like that. With all that, you had to have a moment when you went, wait a minute, we can do this better.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it's looking at it, and even right now on the day-to-day jobs, they could still be doing it better. And that's not just even the selection of materials, but there is very much in the industry, like we've always done it that way, so they kind of tend to stick that way. You know?
He sounds a little rebellious here. Well, I'm not doing it that way just because they've always done it that way. But that's how things change. That's how things move forward.
Yeah, we always said that the worst reason to do anything is because we've always done it that way. Right. So when we started Hoose, it was myself, Lindsay and Stuart sat down and had a chat about, if you were designing a house from scratch and no one had ever lived in a house before, what decisions would you make? And we've designed the Hooses from that very basic first principles all the way through to the demolition of them and how you dispose of them safely at the end of their life.
So I imagine now, and you've had a few here. What's it like? Because when you get someone who is interested in talking to you, I'd like to build a home this way. What do you think in dealing with the public and the people you're building for? What's been their biggest surprise? That, I didn't realize we could do that.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of knowledge. They're needing to be educated as well. And I think if you get the right-minded client, then it's easy to then share that information, and they get quite well on board with that. Because there's some people, again, who would just be stuck in looking at budget and looking at how quick I can get this return or whatever it is. Whereas if you're looking at what we're actually building, and that whole holistic approach, that really interests the person, that if you get the right client, because they're looking at their garden, they're looking at the space they're going to live, it's maybe their home for life. Right. That kind of stuff is also getting to know and spending some time with them, so we can actually develop the relationship and get a better understanding of what their wants and needs are. Is really important to us.
Going back to what you said, the way we used to, the homes were built previously to last a long time, and then it feels like a couple of decades ago, homes were built maybe to not last as long, kind of to the prefab stuff, whatever. It feels like now we've kind of, in this way, gone back to the future, where I want to build something that I'm going to be in for a long, long time. Yeah,
I think it's also looking at it as, like you sort of touched on there, as if the building was then to be taken away, how then the landscape would return back to nature. Right. How long would that actually take? Right. So in some of the buildings, putting lots of concrete and steel and stuff like that, and trying to design as much of that out as possible. That's that. So then at the end of the day, the building's built for longevity, but it could also be removed, and the site could go back. So I think that's a good way to look at it as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you said you had this sit down, right? I think you said the three of you. And if you could build it from scratch, nobody had ever built anything before. That had to be a fascinating conversation, because you all have been doing this for a long time. You've seen lots of different things. How did that conversation go? Like, was there anything that was like specifically you're like, just surprising, because you really did just start from scratch, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of assumptions that you make when you've been doing things for a long time. I'm the least experienced in the team at 20 years when we started. So, yeah, but we've all kind of done a few laps, as you say. Right. And we all have our own assumptions, and they're all different as well. We've all got our own priorities and kind of subtle professional ideologies we're bringing to what we do as well. But we had the underpinning motivation that, first of all, houses aren't built as well as they can be at the moment. They're far too expensive for what they are, because everyone's kind of paying, BMW money to get a Dacia for quite a lot of, obviously, different developers are different, but broadly speaking, the housing market's not particularly well served just now in terms of quality. They're just sticking different trim options on the same basic structure. So we decided that we'd need to look at options to make that better, performance-wise, ecologically-wise, human health-wise. And that was the underpinning thought process under what we did. And when you've got the kind of the shared thought process bringing together to focus as a nucleus point, it made a lot of the arguments not really appear. That kind of, if there was people who were big on concrete, for example, where we were all of the understanding that concrete is the concrete industry is the third largest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world, behind only China and America. So we need to reduce the carbon it takes to build a building. The carbon in use is fairly close to getting solved, because we can build a house off grid using fully renewable technology now. Whereas the carbon involved in actually building it is an entirely bigger and more difficult problem.
And, when you look at just builders, and you look at, if you're just searching around, if you look at the thing wanting to build a home, and you look and you go to different building sites, which I've done numerous places, not just America and here, and I think it's still all over the place. A builder kind of has a theme. They kind of have a look. You can look at something once you've looked into it, and you kind of go, oh, that's them, that's them, that's them. When I look at your social media, and whichever one of you want to take this, I see little things that are similar, but there's not one of your builds that are exactly or even close to one of the other ones. Like, they're all pretty different. You're smiling at me, this is something because you're building for the people, aren't you?
Yeah, so we do have a core set of standard houses, all the way from a kind of one bedroom, kind of almost bed sit type situation, up through to kind of 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, and everything in between. But we also design bespoke as well. And if you're going to the effort of building your own house, it should be serving you as perfectly as it possibly can. There's no point in kind of spending probably the most money you're ever going to spend on anything in your life, and not getting something that suits you exactly as it should.
You don't want cookie cutter.
No.
You don't want that. So this is good. So when you tell people what you do, right, what's the first question the average person has? Are you sitting there at the pub or whatever, and somebody goes, what do you do? Oh, I build holistic homes for people and all that. Surely you've gotten some interesting looks.
Yeah, you get some interesting looks, and there is that sort of hippie tree-hugging deal going on. But I think that the main one is cost comes straight out of people's head, because people are focused on that and maybe only have so much to spend. But then after you get past that, there's an interest in the materials, how we actually pull that design to how you pull the client brief together. So it kind of gets beyond that. But I think the first part is there's a bit of a hang-up from maybe the last 10, 15 years when people have thought that's a really expensive way to build. But with the likes of renewables, air source heat pumps and the like, solar panels and so on. But that's not really the case.
It is, and I'll go back to the American experience here now. Once I finally sat down and really started looking at environmental issues seriously and looking at things for myself, and then realizing where building environmentally friendly, it's expensive. Well, a lot of these things, from my experience, have been put out by people that had a vested interest in people thinking these things aren't the way to go, and people thinking solar is very expensive. And it's different here, I know, but over there, the electric companies, the power, actually regulate the solar panels. So it's a whole different system there. So I'll just say, in an editorial comment here, it's so much better here, and being able to build here. I know it may seem for you all a bit complicated and convoluted and all this kind of stuff environmentally. It's so much easier and so much better here with that. And with that comes being able to build more environmentally friendly, and that's what these two people are doing here. with that being said, what do you think? You've done so much here in a short time with Hoose here, and you've both talked about how you started off and where you are now. What do you think the future is going to be in the next decade, the next 2 decades for what you're trying to do? What are you looking forward to for the next advancement down the road?
I mean, I think in that kind of timescale, you need to be looking beyond Hoose and the impact we're having in the wider industry. And if we could start to influence more of the bigger, more mainstream companies to start adopting Hoose-type regenerative principles, I think that'd be a big win.
Oh, that's not a bad one. That's not good. They're seeing what you're doing, seeing the success you have, and they're like, oh, we should get in on that. Make sure you've got your trademarks and all that. Lock all that down and everything. Now, how about for you? Same thing?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd like to develop and continue to learn and continue to improve, and then take it to the next sort of level beyond that with a Hoose community.
Right.
That's how I see it. Like-minded people and developing skills that it could grow or maybe more organically.
When you're out there at the building site, I've been on a few, but not many recently. Have you got any? We're a radio station. You got music going out there? What's the work?
You get music going as well, but sometimes, unfortunately, maybe health and safety plays in that radio can be a distraction, or you can't hear over it. So we need to, manage that process. But we need to have some music because there's a couple of people that are not too good singers, although I think they're pretty good.
So with that being said, I haven't asked this question in a while. What was your first concert?
What was my first concert?
Yeah, what was your first concert?
My first concert was Madness, and it was in Ingliston. And there was 808 State in the Farm where the warm-up acts.
Man.
And it was probably something like 92 or early 90s off the top of my head.
That's a good
And there was a riot as well.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah, there was a...
I mean, Madness back then, that was... I think they're still touring.
Yeah, they're still touring.
None of us are the same like that, are we?
No, not at all.
That's a good one. Okay, similar question for you, but now you've had a moment to think about that one. I'm asking you something different. What was the first piece of music you bought with your own money?
I think it was probably the single by ATB, 9 p.m. Till I Come. Do you remember that one?
Okay.
It was huge in the late 90s. It was number one forever, pretty much. It was really good.
He is a young one, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah. Just as I'm looking at the cameras here, you can see my green going on here.
He is a young one. That's good. I'm going to go with the Madness. No offense there, but I do like that. That's good. Someone wants to find out more, and thank you for this. If someone wants to find out more details about what you've got going on, we're going to link them up on social media. I'm a big fan of social media. They posted something just yesterday about insulation. It was absolutely fascinating. How can people find out more?
Well, you get Hoose on our Instagram. We're on LinkedIn and Facebook at the moment, I think. Yeah. And our website is hoose.co.uk.
And that is
HOOSE.
There you go. Just for our international listeners out there, this has been great. Guys, thanks so much. I know you've got some building to get to, but thanks for your time. And this has been really good. I think we ought to play a little Madness.
Yeah, Madness would be good. We've got a bounce on the go.
There you go. This is Stirling Talks on Stirling Community Radio.